Off, I want to welcome everybody that watches our broadcast. Thank you for attending and coming in. And if you happen to be attending live, make some notes in chat or something if you have any questions, or speak up since there aren't too many of you. We're supposed to have our shaman from the Alabama Coshada Indian Reservation today. I have not heard anything from him for 2 days. I prepared something special for y'all just in case he didn't show up. So here we go. I'm going to start sharing my screen. How are we looking, Gerald?
Looking good, brother. Looking good.
Okay, very good. All right, so first off, we're going to talk about a little bit, and I'm going to post this first off as our podcast for this week, but I'm also going to break it up. I put together two of them. One is conducting a paranormal investigation, and the other is collecting EVPs and what we do to do that. And so I will break those up and post those separately. Those will become classes that we're going to be teaching. And this is, y'all are going to get to be the first ones to see this class. Now, it's similar to the one that we did at Leisure Learning, but we want to get everybody on the same page. And I haven't heard from, I've only heard from two people that can't go on the ghost hunt tomorrow night. If there's anybody that wants to go on a ghost hunt tomorrow night, that's Monday, July the, what?
What is July?
The 17th. The 17th. Yeah, they want us there around 11 o'clock at night. They have activity between midnight and 1 a.m. every night. Okay, with that said, we're all adults here. Some of the content that we're going to be discussing is controversial. A lot of people have opinions. Some will get, very strong feelings about the content one way or another. But hey, let's just listen, take in the content, think about it. Maybe next week we'll change our opinion. Maybe we'll have a whole revelation and say, hey, I've been thinking about this wrong the whole time. So anyway, here we're going to start. Okay, conducting a proper, the goals of this course are to teach everybody to do an investigation the same. What we want to have happen is, regardless of who's available, that we get the same results from every investigation. And that means everybody's got to do every task the same way every time. And that way it won't matter who's doing which task when. And if you have a favorite task, be sure and let us know. We would love to have you become a specialist in that task. And we're happy to have you hold that position. Okay, the course goals are to make everybody conduct the investigation in a proper manner, doing the same sequence and doing the same every time. Starting off our investigation, we will be doing record keeping. Record keeping is the most important part. With records, we can analyze what we're collecting. We can analyze what's happening. We can keep track of things, and it helps us determine and forecast what's going to happen in the future, what's causing things, and what types of activity people are having. So good record keeping is utmost important if we're going to be a true paranormal investigative organization. We have several forms that we use for doing this record keeping. One is the preliminary intake form that we send out to the clients. I like to videotape this intake form because a lot of things are revealed during the intake. Some of the questions are specifically pointed at helping a client remember things. We want them to remember their activity that they're having. A lot of times they kind of forget over time what's happening. And, when they're telling us their story, they don't recall everything that is going on. So our questions, some of them are quite specific on this intake form to help them remember these other things, so that we can get the whole story down and the information collected. The next thing is to go ahead and get permission to get on the property, get access to it, get keys to it if we need it. We do carry $1 million blanket liability policy. We also get a release form from the client authorizing us to be on their property We also want to get video and photography releases from the client so that we can share information with other organizations and educate other people using the information that we collect. So this will be helpful. And most people that I have found here lately have been very easygoing about it, and not, as long as we're using it for education, they're happy with sharing their information. Another big part of the investigation is that each of us, as we're an investigator on these things, are going to have personal experiences. We're going to feel things. The hair's going to stand up on the back of our neck. We're going to get chill bumps. We're going to feel cold spots. All this information needs to be in your personal experiences list that you turn in for that investigation, because we want to know what happened to you, what you felt. If you didn't feel like there was anything there, say so. If you felt like there was something there and it just wasn't active, say so. If you feel like we could have done something differently and gotten better results, say so. These are times when we can come back and do a hot wash and decide how we want to change things to do it better next time. After we've done this preliminary investigation and done the intake, we get our tools set up for our preliminary investigation. I jumped ahead of myself there a little bit. We'll do the preliminary investigation. Part of the reason I like to do a preliminary investigation with a team, a small team, is to go and find out exactly what's happening there. Do I believe, the credibility of the clients? Is there any true activity going on before we get, a real team out there? What tools are we going to need? I'm just going to carry a few tools. I'm not going to carry them all. It's just too much to carry to go for a short time, a couple hour, setup and intake. But I can determine what we need to use, what I would like to have there, and we'll go from there on the investigation. We'll also determine what people we want to have on the investigation. If we're suspecting that we're going to get a lot of EVPs, or they think they're hearing voices or something like that, we want to put a specialist on EVPs, somebody that we're going to feel confident in gathering these EVPs. Now, it doesn't mean that you won't be assigned to it. What it means is you may be under somebody who takes you under their wing to help to teach you how to do EVPs so that you can become an expert yourself. And maybe next investigation, you'll take the lead part of that while they sit back and monitor and instruct you. And in the third investigation after that, maybe it'll be all on you. You'll be the EVP person. When we're doing EVPs, even on audio and photography, there are certain software packages that we use. I have been going with Adobe. It's a subscription package. It costs money. It's costing me $60 a month, roughly, $60, $70. So we got Adobe Edition, which is the software for listening to the EVPs. We'll go into that a little further in the EVP class. For video, I use Adobe Premiere software. This podcast will be edited with Adobe Premiere before it's posted to YouTube. Also, we have several other Adobe packages we're using that we use in conjunction with all this. One of the things we want to consider on any investigation is safety. Your safety is important. We don't want anybody hurt, and there are certain steps we can take. First off, we can say a prayer before we go in, a prayer of protection. If we should arrive normally in the daylight hours where we can examine any potholes in the grass that we might step in, or trip hazards, or water faucets that may be low on the ground that are ankle twisters. We can identify some of these safety hazards and remember them through the night, because we're going to see them again, and next time it's going to be dark and it may not be so friendly, and you got to be alert and on your toes when this happens. Another reason why we don't want to be using any alcohol or any drugs or anything, because it does put everybody's safety at risk. collecting and sharing the evidence. When we've got all the evidence collected together, now if you brought a personal camera and you've used your personal camera, and I'm carrying extra hard drives with me that go with my laptop. Right now I have a package on my laptop attached to it. I'm running 8 drives off of it, and I'm backing everything up to at least 4 drives so that we won't lose the information that we have. It's, once you lose it, you can't get it back. So I'm trying to be extra careful that we don't lose it. And the purpose for this is so that we can share it with other organizations. We can talk about it in meetings with other organizations and in presentations we do with other educational organizations. At the tail end of this course, we're going to have some links that I could share with you about some interesting websites that you might want to spend some time at. So, do we have any questions so far about what our goals are?
No, John, I think we're good. I've actually been through this with you more than once, and I love it. I actually love it when you present it, because when you present it, you bring it with such a professional, attitude that, even the common person can grasp it. So, well, yeah, I don't have any questions, man. I just wanted to pop in and say something.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Joe. We want to determine if something is there. That's part of the goal of the investigation. We want to know that there's something there. The client wants to know if there's something there. A lot of times we're contacted by a client and they say, hey, am I losing my mind? Am I going crazy? Please tell me there's something here, because they think that, they're hallucinating or something. And to be quite fair and honest, they could be hallucinating. We don't know till we do the investigation. But high EMFs can cause the brain to hallucinate. So if we ran into, and we have run into cases where we had very high EMFs at several locations, and that could be causing the client their brain to generate these things, and if we can't find any other evidence, we kind of will attribute it to the high EMF. One of them was an apartment project, and what we suggested was that they talked to the manager of the apartment and moved to another apartment, because right outside the child's bedroom, the child was having nightmares and bad dreams and stuff. There was a huge electrical transformer for the apartment project. We were getting really high EMF readings there. So anyway, they moved to another apartment, and we had no more problems with them. The little girl had no more trouble sleeping. In another case we were working on, we had some unusual EMF readings that were real high, like 1,000 milligauss on a couple of lamps. Actually, it was 845 on the one lamp with it turned off. When we unplugged it, but it's still turned off. It went to 1,000. Figure that out. The other lamp was doing the same thing. And next to that lamp was a alarm clock, electric clock, and that clock was putting out 640. And next to that was an Alexa device, and it was putting out 345. So she took all those down at our behest and moved those out of the room. Now, she's not being awakened at night, but she says she sees activity outside the house, but it's not coming in. And I don't know if these items were providing power, energy for these things to materialize in her bedroom or not. But with them gone, and we sent a pastor out there to bless her house and to, get rid of the entities, period. So anyway, I haven't talked to her in a couple of days now, and it seems to have been resolved. The next thing is determine what is there. And then we want to determine why it is there, if it's there. Talking in circles here, kind of. Determine if there's a pattern to what occurs. Now, the one we're going on tomorrow night, the lady says it occurs every night. Now, sometimes these events will only occur once a year because it may be a non-intelligent haunting, and it will occur, it's like a record play. and it will occur maybe on an anniversary, or maybe it'll occur once a month, or maybe it'll occur once a week. Depends on how much energy is available for it to use to make itself, move and play the recording. So some things only happen in thunderstorms. Some things happen once a week. Some things only happen on Thursday night. So, and if we isolate the time and get a pattern on it, then we can arrange to be there when this occurs so that we can capture it. We want to determine if there are special conditions that cause the occurrence, like lightning. Thunderstorms, when lightning occurs, you've got ozone in the air, you've got lightning and energy that's free. And so a lot of these things will only happen in stormy weather, some places. Others might be solar energy or solar burst from the sun, and it would cause interference and radio interference and stuff because of the disturbance from the sun. The moon affects some things. It affects the tides. If it can move the ocean, it can certainly cause the spirit to move. So we've got to consider these other parts of the equation and see if that is helping to cause these occurrences. When we get through with our investigation and we've determined all these factors, we want to give a client a copy of all the records. We want to determine what we can do to resolve the issues that the client has. Now, on our intake form, one of the last questions on there is, what do you expect our investigation or the outcome of our investigation to do for you? And they write it out there, what they expect to happen because we've done an investigation for them. And that way we have a measuring stick to measure our performance, to see if we satisfied that client and whether we performed or not. And it's really easy to tell. All we got to do is read that one sentence, what they expect. Now then, the last thing in our investigation is to help the client resolve any issues they have. So, sometimes we can do that, sometimes we can't. Sometimes if it's a unintelligent haunting where it's like a movie playing, they're going to have to learn to live with it, but they're going to learn through education by us that it's just a movie. It's going to play out, but nobody's going to be harmed by it. There's no danger, nothing to be concerned about. The other thing is that if it is an intelligent haunting and it's something that can be malevolent, well, then we will have somebody come in and cleanse the house. Any questions on the goals of the investigation?
Well, John, I do have one question. What if we have someone that's very new to the investigation and, we're talking about cleansing and stuff like that. We're talking about things that are happening. A lot of people that come into the paranormal, they come in based on what they think they've seen on some of the TV shows that run, and then we can't name them, but there's some really good ones out there. But they think that they're going to see, activity based on that, when you and I have sat on investigations and didn't see anything. So what do we do when we have a newbie that honestly thinks they're getting activity, but none of us can verify? And and that person from their perspective is going to want to know why. And they may not understand the whole cleansing thing.
Well, you're right about that. And they may not understand why there is a lack of activity and stuff. That's what's amazing about some of the television programs that are currently on television. They give you a misconception. And let's face it, their purpose is to entertain you and to get you to watch them again. And they really want you sitting on the edge of your seat. Our purpose is to educate you as to what's really going on. That things don't happen the way they show on television. I mean, they'll go out and shoot 6 million pictures, and every one of them's got activity in it. They'll play a recording for you of an EVP that I can't understand when I hear it, but they tell me what it says, and they think they got something. And it, really doesn't work like that. And that's part of what we're going to teach you with these classes is, Over the years, we've gotten some good pictures, some good photographic evidence. We've gotten some good EVP evidence, and we've gotten some fantastic stuff. Now, the truth of the matter is, so many programs out there right now that you can get can fake evidence. And that's why it's important to be part of a team. And it's got to be a trusted team, one that has a professional presence. And that's why we will be traveling in groups of 2 or 3. I prefer to send teams out in teams of 3 in case somebody gets hurt. If somebody gets hurt, the second person can stay with the person that's hurt, give them aid, while the third person goes for help. The point of having 3 people is we witness things together. As you know yourself, Gerald, your wife has been present when Siobhan took some fantastic pictures.
Absolutely.
Catching ectoplasms and stuff. And if Rachel hadn't been there to see it when it happened and everything, there would have been no witness to substantiate, hey, she didn't doctor the photograph. She took it right there while I was standing there beside her and saw these things happen, So, or I didn't see anything at all in this happen. There are several photographs we have of ectoplasm forming around me, and I didn't see it at the time, but somebody caught it in the picture, and it's interesting to see it afterwards. But because there are a group of people there and all witnesses as to this, and we've got the evidence that nobody has doctored this photograph. We're out there in the wilderness and nobody has even left the scene yet. So they haven't had the opportunity, Now,
Right.
Things are getting more complicated in that some people are taking pictures with their cell phones, which is fine. Cell phones are excellent cameras. Nothing wrong with that, and nothing wrong with doing EVPs with it. In fact, we've got one of our sessions on using your cell phone for different activities. But
yeah, also, sorry to interrupt, John. I didn't mean to. Like I said, there's a slight delay. But don't forget the picture that I took with my Samsung camera a couple years ago at a non-disclosed location. I don't reveal locations.
Yeah.
And we were there, and I caught the spirit lady walking across the road with what appears to be a young child with her.
Yep.
So, and I'm not going to give away the location because we might want to go there again.
Well, I'm sure we do.
Yeah, and I would like to go back for a repeat because things were happening there that were really piquing interest. And there's a couple other places that I'd like to go with you that I will discuss with you another time, because we don't want and I'm not doing this to prevent other people from going there, but the fact is we don't want to go and there be a huge crowd of people.
No, what we want to do is do it as a group ourselves, kind of keep it to ourselves. And we could go if you really ought to be going with somebody else anyway. So that's part of the point of this. Now, back to the cell phones, some of the software that's available on these cell phones can alter pictures instantly on the spot. So we've got to be aware of that.
Exactly. But also too, John, is, when we get with clients or people that are new to the group, we let them know that we're here for the actual facts. We're not trying to dramatize or grab you by the edge of your seat.
Right.
We're not here to make you believe in something, that's not there. We're here to show you the real deal.
Our purpose is to educate. Absolutely.
Exactly. And our views may not reflect others' views,
I'm sure they don't, and not everybody's on the same.
Exactly. And so, that's the deal between us versus the other groups, is we're educating, and we're not out there saying, oh, we got this, and oh, look over there. Oh, do you feel that? That's not our game, man. We're not going to just say, did you feel something if it's not there?
Yeah.
And, so and you and I have been different places where activity seems to surround what at the time was Siobhan and others, so, and, but our group has other people that draw the same. So
absolutely.
So that's basically my statement, and I go in and I always say a silent prayer, because, I'm also a pastor. So, and I believe, in things that are out there and everything, because the Bible tells us that they're. So, but that's all I want to say, man. I didn't want to take up your time.
Okay. Okay, the phases of an investigation. Let's move on. What happens initially in a investigation is the client makes contact with us. They'll contact us either cell phone or email or, a call to our listed number on our website. We do the client interview. And when we're doing that preliminary interview, we decide the size of the team, the equipment that's going to be needed, the date for an investigation is set up, and the safety hazards are determined. Now, while we're speaking on safety, before I forget, I might mention that I normally carry 2 or 3 first aid kits, to all these events. I was a rescue captain for a while in the fire department, 10 years. And so safety, I believe in safety. Site is research for history and records. Now, we've got some people that we're working on to do some research for us. But in the meantime, we're a little lax right now on research and records, doing the history. But we're working to get better at it. And that's something we need to kind of be looking hard at to try to get somebody that really likes history and is working on that. Now, I just got today, actually, it was in the mailbox, and it's going to help us a lot. Here's our letter from the IRS confirming that we are a 501c3 corporation, a nonprofit in the state of Texas. And so we can get some grant money now to do some research. And I want to hire somebody that's going to do history, and that will be their job. Once we get funded. So we're going to be looking for funds. If anybody knows any funds that are available so that we can do some historical research on several different projects we have going, I'd love to talk to them. I'm also going to need a administrative assistant because the workload is such that I can't do it all myself anymore. I need somebody to help me. So I'm looking for an administrative assistant. And as soon as there are funds available, we're going to start paying these people. The needed members then are notified. We set up a date, and then we go and conduct our investigation. We collect the files for archiving and presenting to the client. We review the information. We have a meeting. We review the information. We go over it, and then we go back and we share it with the client and resolve whatever the client's outcome that they would like to have. That's how we end it. If we have to send an exorcist out or somebody to cleanse the place, hey, that's what we'll do. And then we archive our records. We'll also, I probably ought to add on here that we share our records for educational purposes with other organizations when we're pulling the data together and we're running numbers and stuff and trying to present things and determine what's happening and how many investigations do this, how they do that, different records like that, and try to figure out what's going on in the world. So those are the phases of an investigation. When we're conducting this investigation, we want to be professional, show integrity and respect at all times. There are lots of ways to do this. We respect one another. We respect the client. And we are not going to take anything that doesn't belong to us when we're in a client's home. We treat their house better than we would our own. That's part of being professional. We're going to travel in pairs as a minimum. First off, if an accusation comes up, somebody stole something, there's 2 somebodies together. Better if there are 3, because it's harder for one client to accuse 3 people of stealing. So, if that should come up, I just want to prevent it from coming up. I've never had it come up. We've done this for over 16 years. We've never had anybody accused, and I like it that way. We gather and record pertinent information. We keep good records. And I'm trying to tell you what we're looking to do for records here. We're going to work safely, and safety is important because we don't want anybody hurt. We're going to analyze the information that we gather. We're going to review the information. We're going to find explanations for the occurrences, see if we can't figure out a cause and effect. Nobody knows that much about ghost hunting yet, or the paranormal for that matter. And so there's a lot of room for different things here. Like EVPs. Some people right now are talking that the reason we can't hear them with our ears is because they may be electromagnetic in nature when these entities generate this pulse that the recorders pick up, that it may not be a sound wave. So this is food for thought. Now, if it's electromagnetic pulse, that leaves the opening that these things could be interdimensional in travel, and that they could be traveling between dimensions. So finding explanations for occurrences is going to be more difficult, but we've got new equipment coming out all the time, and we're looking for ways to be able to identify and explain these things and to find out why they happen. That's the point of the investigation. And then we want to preserve our records and share with everybody. So that's the way to properly conduct an investigation. Does anybody have any questions? If you want to, you can email me. I'm going to put the email in at the tail end here, or I did it at the front anyway. It's HoustonGhost@gmail.com. You can email me if you have any questions. Good records. We're going to have our client intake form, our permission forms, our release from liability forms, our client information forms, and a floor plan that we do our baselines on. It doesn't have to be anything, but it can be quite primitive. I've done some that were very fancy that were done on a CAD program. I've got one here that I'll show you. Whoops, right here, which is a very rough sketch of this house laid out here. And it's got bathroom, bedroom, kitchen here, living room. But the thing is, here's the temperature for the ceiling, 72 degrees. That's what it was when we started. The floor was 67 degrees. The same was in the kitchen floor, 67, 72. The walls here, let's see, EMF was 20 all the way around the room. The walls were 72 degrees. So here's the EMF of 2. Ceiling, 71. And the floor, can't make out the floor. Maybe I didn't put the floor there. Bad record. But anyway, there's 71 over here on this wall. So anyway, we want to record these things, and periodically we're going to check it. One of the tools that I don't have in this presentation, but I do have one on YouTube for you to look at, is our data logger. It's a little orange box. We can set it in the floor there. If there's any vibration in the room, or the room shakes or anything, it's going to pick it up. It records that every second. It records the temperature every second. It records the barometric pressure in the room every second. It's got a speaker that alerts you. That's something else. Humidity, relative humidity. It's recording that every second. And when I start my video camera, I get my data logger and the video camera together, and I mention what time it is at the start of the data logger so that I can tie it with what's happening on the video camera second by second, because I can pull the SD card on the data logger and it'll give me second by second what's happening on all these things, temperature, pressure, humidity. So I can look at all the motion. So I can look at all these things second by second, and I can be watching the camera play next to it, and I can see if there's activity here, what caused it over here in the picture, So it helps. These data loggers, I want to get more. We can do more rooms that way. But anyway, that's an idea of where we're going to go with that. Okay, so that's the floor plan and getting your baseline reading, your EMFs, and your temperature reading. Weather conditions at the site. Now, I also, we want to get the wind, the temperature, humidity, and barometric pressure. Some of that's going to affect us. Now, I'm going to go back over here to another thing. And you can see here, whoops, right here is Belleville, Texas. And it's got the complete weather forecast with all the temperature and information for Belleville on this particular day, which was at 11:25 a.m. And I can't read the date right now. Well, it's probably been about 10 years ago. Now, here is a report for the solar. This is for the space report for the USAF and NOAA report for solar and geophysical activity for the 19th of June, 2010. So we had an investigation on this particular day, and that was the report for that day. Record storage. We used to, when we started out, we had file cabinets, and we were putting everything in file cabinets, and everything was stored on paper. Now we've gone to hard drives, and at one time we even have some DVDs. Some of our records are on DVDs and SD cards and CDs and things like that. But now we've gone to all hard drive storage. And like I say, I've got 8 hard drives right now tied to my laptop. That is, my laptop's powering every one of them. We have permanent files that are centralized. All of our records are together, and they're easy to copy. They're easy to share with other people. We can share them in emails. We can share them very quickly. And we're sharing a lot on Facebook, and we're sharing a lot on YouTube. And right now we've also got an Instagram account and a TikTok account. So we're publishing a lot of this, and we're encouraging people to contact us and say, oh, we've got something that we had similar to that, and have them share information with us. Also on the podcast, I think 3 podcasts ago, we had Jeremiah Chairs on from Paranormal Detective or Phantom Detectives, OCC. And they do a lot of the things we do, but we exchange some ideas. And of course, now we are working and exchanging information. And next week, the psychic from their team is going to be on our podcast and talk to us a little bit about what psychics do and how they influence the outcome on the investigation and what happens. Okay. When we collect the evidence, we want to secure permission for all the sites that we investigate. We don't go to a site that we don't have the permission to go. We'll travel in 2s or 3s so that there is more than one witness to the event. One person can go for help in case of injury, and one person can stay with the injured party. And no one is alone. So we reduce the chances of accusations of theft where something might be stolen. We want to document all of your personal experience on paper. We want to document all the conditions, weather, moon phase, and solar activity. We want to draw a floor plan like I've shown you to get the baseline readings for site, for temperature, EMF, barometric pressure, humidity, and activity. We want to set up the equipment. Sometimes setting up the equipment and tearing down the equipment, it takes quite a long time. And sometimes we're moving it, the activity is moving, and we're moving it the whole time we're doing the investigation. It's never really set up. It's a constant thing. We want to record EVPs, making notes. And I'll go into that in more detail on the EVP training session. We'll be using dowsing rods. We have a lot of luck with dowsing rods, and I'm pretty good with them, and I trust them a lot. And so I can generally walk into a place and use the dowsing rods real quick and determine if something's happening or not. We want to take a group photo at every site so we remember who did the investigation there. It'll be in our records then, and we can always determine then, hey, if some question comes up, where's the group photo, who was there, and then we know from the list of people for the photographs, photography that was done. if we got photographs from everybody or not, or if we got EVPs from everybody or not, and it'll help us with our record keeping. So a group photo is important. Any questions? These are activity levels for a paranormal investigation. Paranormal activity level 1 is personal experience such as sounds, touching, odors. All of these things are non-threatening. Level 2 has some manifestations that seem to be, you feel somebody that's around you, or that you have the feeling of being watched. Level 3 is physical objects are moved, car keys are misplaced, things are taken, they disappear. Level 4 is where we have physical contact, and in some cases it may be of an attacking, a threatening, or sexual nature. So level 4s are really can get pretty serious. Level 5 paranormal activity has the potential signs of I'm having trouble with my vision here. This is so small. Potential signs of Puritan activity, levitation, unexpected exhibitions of strength, speaking in tongues, unexpected knowledge, especially of a person, personal nature, or someone, and also these would all include those that are where a person is possessed. So the level 5 is the worst kind that we could have. We have some special exceptions, which we call C1 children. Children become important because they don't understand like adults do. An adult can kind of, I'm kind of, I'm getting a feeling or a vibration and I'm not comfortable with it. I'd like it to go away. But at the same time, they can understand why it might be a day or two before we could get there to help them. But when their child is upset and their child is distressed about something going on in their rooms or around them, then we need to pay special attention. We need to move it to the top of the list, and we need to take care of it right away to help that parent ease that child's mind and get that child taken care of, because we just can't allow that to continue. The child has got to have something done for them right away. We have a warning on our sheet about 4 and 5, because those can be pretty intense. A lot of times we won't even take those kind. There are times when I refer it directly to an exorcist. Used to, I was in contact with the Catholic Church and the exorcist they had. And anytime I called, they would go immediately. There was no more need for investigation on their part. They would go straight out and do the thing. Right now, I've got a gentleman by the name of Jeremiah Quintero that goes out and does these things for us. And so far, he's done an excellent job for us. Now, when we, on our file system, when we've completed an investigation and it's resolved, we stamp that file ICR. Boom. ICR means that it's complete and it's resolved. ICNF means that the investigation is completed, the activity was confirmed and documented, and data has been reviewed with the client concurs, and that no follow-up is necessary. There's no danger exists for the client. So it's IC for investigation is completed and no further needs is what it means. IC means that the investigation is completed, but additional investigation is needed, or additional things need to occur, or it needs to be reclassified. There's still work to be done on that particular file. So that will be behind the file name, whether it's IC, ICNF, or ICR. That concludes that and goes to vocabulary. The vocabulary is quite long. Well, I guess my computer has decided that we've had enough, Gerald. for tonight. Well, we're very close. We're at 7:53, so we've got 7 minutes here. I will go ahead and close this out here. I don't know why it doesn't want to load. Well, come on, go home. Let's see more here, and I want to stop the recording.